Hi there, Traveling Troy here. Well, it's been a crazy 2020, hasn't it? With this whole pandemic thing going on, and just a whole bunch, the riots, and we got a whole presidential thing going on. It's been nuts. But I haven't put up a video since late 2019. So what I want to do is this video is going to kind of be a recap of what I've been up to since just before 2020 started. So just briefly, where I've been, what I've been doing, where I've been traveling to, and maybe even some of my thought process of this whole pandemic thing. So check it out.
Well, we ended the year with our annual Christmas party. Here's my buddy Kurt with some of the kids of the group. Here's Greg opening up a white elephant gift with Tommy and Kim looking on. And here are the once kids, now young ladies of the group. My buddy Davis trying out the couch mode inside the van. Here's a look at some of my buddies at the Christmas party. Sadly, Mr. Ralph passed away in July of 2020.
So my plans were to hit the road and go to the 2020 RTR, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous in Quartzsite, Arizona. So what I needed to do first, though, or figured I should do, is a couple upgrades on the vans, and here's what I did.
My 4-year-old AGM batteries were no longer keeping my refrigerator on at night, so I bought a lithium battle-born battery. It was quite messy installing the batteries without the convenience of my dad's garage. But I managed to get the project completed, and it's been working amazingly. One of my other projects was to remove my old lights, which were a little bit too powerful, and replace them with these touch disc lights. These things are awesome. My last project before hitting the road was to make these new window coverings with black felt on the outside to kind of look like tinted windows, very, very dark tinted windows. After completing the upgrades, it was time for a nice Fuddruckers hamburger. By the way, I worked there in high school and part of the way in college. Before hitting the road, I met up with some friends to watch the Houston Texans take on the Kansas City Chiefs in a playoff game. Unfortunately, the Texans lost, but my buddy Andy here liked the outcome.
In January, for a number of years now, they've had this big tent event where all these RV manufacturers and products of RVs, they get together in a big tent, a big white tent, and they have all their products on display. And it's I think it's for 2 weeks, I believe. And they just, millions of people come to the area and go to the event and check all the things and buy products or buy RVs or whatever. And along with that, for the past few years, Bob Wells and Home on Wheels has been, mainly Bob Wells, but recently Home on Wheels, they've been running an event that goes along at the same time called the RTR, which is the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. Well, I wanted to go to that event, to both events, so that's the reason I went to Quartzsite, Arizona in January of 2020. But the first thing I did was go to the PAR-TR, which was something that's been going on, I think, for 2 years now, 2 or 3 years, which is an event where all the people that get together for the RTR and the Big Ten event, they all kind of gather up in an area where they camp overnight, and then there's like a nightlife and things. So that's where I went to first and spent a few days over there before going and checking out Quartzsite itself.
The very next day after the Texans lost, I hit the road heading to the RTR in Quartzsite, Arizona. I was making good time and decided to stop just south of Phoenix, Arizona at a casino for some bowling, some video poker, and some live entertainment. Unfortunately, I can't play the live entertainment here on YouTube. I arrived at the PAR-TR campsite location in Quartzsite, Arizona, just as the sun was going down, so I had no idea what to expect for the next day and just went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up and saw RVs, buses, vans, schoolies, step vans all over the place. I happened to park near Brian from the Adventure Van Man YouTube channel. And hey, look, Terry and Scott from Destination Open Road passed by my van with Brian's van there in the background. Okay, well, I'm over here near Skadden Wash in near Quartzsite, Arizona.
Cooking a little dinner here in the old back of the van, doing some outside cooking. Sun's going down over there.
Later that night, I went over to the RTR base camp where they had a dance floor and a live DJ. Aja was on the spinning the records that night. They've got some cool lights and games and everything. It was a great place to hang out, and they also have some cool fire pits. Here's what the base camp dance party looked like. Unfortunately, I had to strip the music due to copyright.
Well, after a couple nights at the RTR and hanging out with some people, meeting a lot of cool people, and dance parties, and having a couple adult beverages and some chats along the fire pit, it was time to go into town and actually check out Quartzsite and the RTR and the big tent event.
Well, after sleeping in late, I stepped out of the van and I saw this nice view, and I thought, well, let's go into town and see what's going on in Quartzsite. My first stop was Silly Owls. I was hungry for some pizza. Next, I walked over to the big tent event, which turned out to be a little boring to me because, frankly, I wasn't really gonna buy anything. But right around the corner was Beer Belly's adult daycare. That sounded more my speed. This place was doing quite a bit of business today with cold beer and live music and lots of interesting people to look at. Later that night, we had a nice sunset, more music, and lots of Jenga. The next morning, I went to the RTR presentation of technology, internet, and cell phones.
You'll find a cell tower over here, and you'll find a mini cell tower over here, and another one up over here. And as long as you're close enough to those mini cell towers, I've seen speeds, not personally, but 1,500 megabits per second.
Well, with 2 weeks of events coming to a close, it was time for me to hit the road. I figured I'd go check out Parker and Lake Havasu. I noticed on the map that the Parker Dam was coming up, so let's go check that out. I made a couple stops along the way, but then there were the sights of Lake Havasu. Really pretty place, lots of water sports if you're into that kind of thing. As well as shopping and nice places to eat. I found some nice BLM land just north of Lake Havasu, but after staying there a couple of nights, I was thinking to myself, I'm right across the state line from California, and it's been decades since I've been over there. Let me go check out California. So I packed up the van, I hit the Havasu Planet Fitness for a nice shower, then crossed the state line into California. It wasn't long before I was over at Joshua Tree National Park. Little did I know that things were about to change and Joshua Tree National Park would soon close. I found a decent spot to camp just outside of Joshua Tree National Park, but I didn't like how many cars were coming up and down the road. It was right next to the main road. I felt like I could find a better spot. But I did stay for one night and enjoyed a beautiful sunset. My next campsite was about 2 miles down the road, still at Joshua Tree National Park, but I only saw maybe 1 or 2 cars a day, if that. My favorite campsites are private ones like this where I barely ever see anyone. I can do stupid stuff like, play hacky sack and kick it 11 times in a row without dropping. Woohoo!
How come the stars come to shine when it's dark from so far away and show us where we are?
Up until this point, I hadn't really paid much attention to the coronavirus thing going on until I was at a coffee shop and I saw this headline. 3 more tests of COVID-19. That was 6 total in Riverside County. That hit pretty close to home, or at least where I was currently. It was time to make some changes. I stocked up on a month's supply of groceries, and I also purchased a privacy tent which was going to serve as my shower tent for probably the next month or 2 or 3. Who knew at the time? My next move was to go back to the Joshua Tree camping area and find an even more secluded area, set up my shower tent, and prepare to wait this thing out. So what do you do when you have an abundance of time and not much to do? Well, you pull out the drone you've been neglecting and get some flight time. This is actually the first time I tested the drone on follow mode. Worked pretty well. It's done fine thus far, but can it keep up with my blazing speed? I saw some really amazing sunsets while in California, that's for sure. Right down the road from my campsite was the General Patton Memorial Museum, which was closed at the time due to the coronavirus, but hey, all the cool things seemed to be on the outside, so I went to check it out. Tanks, and more tanks. It was cool. Since Joshua Tree National Park was closed, there wasn't a whole lot to do in the area, so I just kind of went around and explored what was around my campsite, which was some pretty cool stuff. Now for some breaking news. After going down to my last roll of toilet paper, I finally found a huge mega pack at the Walmart in Indio, California. After a successful store run, it was back to camp and checking out cool things, like these jackrabbits. I saw jackrabbits all the time. Oh, and I also saw shirtless dudes in my camp. They could have parked anywhere, but they decided to have a snack, peel their oranges, and drop the orange peels in my camping area. And I don't even want to know what's going on here. Besides strange guys stripping down their underwear in my camp, the other strange thing was locusts slipping through the crack in my back doors and then buzzing all around inside the van. I had to tape the freaking door closed. By mid-April, the California desert temps were about to begin getting extremely hot, so it was time for me to head out to Flagstaff, Arizona. My first campsite near Flagstaff wasn't bad, but I usually like to get out and walk the area just to find the best campsite available. Hey there, my friends and family. I've moved campsites. The one I was at was like over by the road, and there's just a lot of people coming and going all hours of the day, during the day. So I decided to go to a different spot, more secluded. It's like way back here in the forest, so that none of the big rigs can fit back here. Only this, little vans like mine. So let me give you a look. Okay, through the trees there, you might be able to see there's a couple RVs back over in that way. That's the closest RVs to me. But anyways, the road, here's the road. It gets kind of tight, so no big rigs can fit in here. But here's my new camp spot. We got the fire ring. We've got wood here. Unfortunately, there's a no fire, or there's a fire ban right now because of there's pine needles everywhere, so it's not a good time to be starting campfires. And here's my spot. There's enough of a tree break to where I get enough sun to charge the batteries up during the day for the night. Got my little shower tent set up over there, and yeah, as you can see, it's just me and the trees. After establishing the new campsite, it's time to go see what else is out there, like this shot the heck car, this little bitty baby tree. Oh, and of course I brought my shower tent with me, and I read 2 books at this campsite. At this point, some places were reopening back in Texas, and I had some things I needed to handle there, like my vehicle registration, inspection, new tires, and just general maintenance on the van. At this point, it was May and extremely hot in Houston already, so I just went to the beach and had a relaxing, chill 6 or 7 days. Then Memorial Weekend hit and the crowds came, so I got the heck out of there. With Houston being too hot, I reorganized the van and hit the road to find cooler weather. But first, a quick stop in the Austin area to help my dad with a battery project and an excellent barbecue, socially distanced barbecue cookout. Back on the road again, and this bird just couldn't get enough of my mirror. I was finally getting out of the extreme heat, and after a quick stop in Muleshoe, Texas, I was crossing the border into New Mexico, and I hit my 5-year anniversary of living in my van. Back to the Flagstaff area, and I decided to try and build a little temporary shelter, a canopy. It worked out pretty well, and I had nice views. Then these people showed up, and their dogs invaded my camp. It was time to move. Plus, the Flagstaff temps were beginning to rise. Before leaving Flagstaff, I picked up a screenhouse tent, I got my oil changed, and my tires rotated. Next stop, Leadville, Colorado. Here's a look at the new canopy set up in camp, and inside the canopy I was cooking some pancakes. They turned out really fabulous. Had a great breakfast that morning, and I made some burgers. A little burger there with a nice beer on the side. As usual, I like to go on hikes to see if I can discover even better campsites. This is the view from a tent-only campsite. Being in Leadville where it can get really cold at night, I decided it was a good time to make some chili. And then that turned into a really tasty Frito pie.
Okay, well, I think that gets you kind of caught up with where I've been and what I've been doing for the past couple of months. In my next few videos, I'll kind of go over where I'm currently hanging out and maybe plans on where I'm going to go in the future, and maybe what are my plans for the winter. Where am I going to go? I'm usually in Houston, Texas, but I don't know, with the whole pandemic thing still going on, I may go somewhere else this winter. We'll see. Thanks a lot for watching.